Hello, sorry my last video got cut off. I ran out of space on the camera. So in case it got cut off, just covered that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a famous Austrian. As you all know, he's a huge action star, and he's former governor of California. And on the opposite end of it is Adolf Hitler, who's a terrible person who started the Holocaust because he didn't get into art school, which he blamed on the Jews. In addition to actor dash dictator in art forms, it was also Vienna was a large place of music where famous composers such as Mozart and Beethoven worked in the olden days there. Some of the modern music, similar to now, involves a famous type of folk music that's known as Viennese Skrammelmusik, in addition to common ones such as like rock, hip-hop, indie rock, metal, that kind of stuff. Most of the customs are based on my Jewish ancestry, which include things such as lighting Shabbat candles, lighting candles for Hanukkah, observing Rosh Hashanah, which is where Rosh Hashanah is the new year. I'm thinking of Yom Kippur, where we fast for a day in order to make amends for our sins. Similar to Lent in a sense. I actually do not observe Yom Kippur since I have a medical condition, so I get to eat. Lucky me. I do try to observe the holidays. Like on Yom Kippur, I don't like pig out, but if I'm like really hungry and I need food, then I'll grab food. Another big moment in my life was when I'm bar mitzvahed, which is a passage of a boy into manhood, which is at age 13. I actually took mine a year later since I was a little hesitant on learning, because you have to memorize it basically since there's no vowels in the Torah, so that was kind of hard for me to do. Some of my favorite Jewish foods include matzah, challah, and grape juice, which is a supplement for red wine during the holidays. Absolutely love matzah. One of my favorite things to do now is a combination of eggs and matzah called a matzah brai. Very delicious with a sprinkle of sugar, and challah is overall delicious. Matzah is bread minus the yeast, which is based on the story of Passover when the Jews had to get out of Egypt before Pharaoh changed his mind. So they didn't let it rise and they just took it unleavened. So that's where matzah, and challah is just, I think it's like egg and bread. It's usually done every Saturday, which is Shabbat, or Friday night to Saturday, Shabbat, along with lighting of Shabbat candles. As I said before, red wine is also drinking on major holidays such as Passover, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, but if you're like underage or if you have liver problems or a heart problem and you can't have alcohol, then red wine is a perfectly acceptable alternative. One of the most interesting things I found about Austria-Hungary, which I find very weird, is the way they have school. They have a preschool, then a primary school, a secondary school, and then college, kind of like preschool, middle school, high school, college. But the interesting thing is there's many different versions. The kids usually attend preschool until age 6, where they either go to their first primary schools, which is either the Grundschule or the Volksschule. The Grundschule was common everyday standard school, while the Volksschule was developed in the late 1920s and was designed for kids in rural areas, so they get a better technical and vocational education to better fit what they need out there. At the end of 6th grade, they then move on to the secondary school, which would either be the gymnasium, not an actual gym, sadly, because that would be really fun, just playing all day, the Realschule, Hauptschule, the Allgemeine Mittelschule, and that was the last one. The gymnasium is your basic liberal arts school. The Realschule, basically a gymnasium, but with more emphasis on science, math, languages. The Hauptschule was a science and technological school with occasional apprenticeships, which is pretty cool there. And the Allgemeine Mittelschule was in order to give kids a broader education than the other schools, which was like specific things, emphasis on specific areas. So if you want to be like a biologist, you could go there. You want to be a psychiatrist, basically more kind of almost like a college in a sense. Now I move on to the last one, America, greatest country in the world. My grandparents moved here from Austria-Hungary in the early 1900s. My great-grandparents, actually, moved to America in the early 1900s, we'll say 1920s, but around the time, to live in the U.S. Austro-Hungary